The polar vortex is bringing the coldest temperatures and wind chills of this winter season. We'll go through the temperatures and look at a major winter storm bringing heavy snow further south, ice, and the potential for heavy rain and severe weather. And we'll also look at the long-range forecast into early March in this forecast. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are only 90 subscribers away. Yes, 90 subscribers away from 127,000. You want to help me get there, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, especially if you do like it and you find it informative, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's look here at our temperature anomalies this Tuesday, February 18th, and look at the polar vortex bringing the coldest air of the winter season down across the plains and into the Midwest here. In these pinks and purples, we are seeing temperature anomalies today up to 50 degrees below normal of what we should be. And looking here at the polar vortex, where the placement of it is, the lobe of the polar vortex here is across the Hudson Bay and Quebec in eastern Canada, and it's bringing the coldest air of the winter season down into the central and the eastern United States, not only with temperatures, but with wind chills. So let's look here at our temperatures as we woke up this morning across the heartland of the country. 38 degrees below zero was one of the coldest temperatures that I saw here across North Dakota this morning. Now, when you factor in the wind chill there, yeah, it's feeling more like 45, perhaps 55 degrees below zero. Why is that significant? Well, if you don't have proper layers covering exposed skin, you can get frostbite in this environment in less than 15 minutes. That's as simple as it is. Very cold, sub-zero wind chills going all the way down to Amarillo here in the panhandle of Texas, near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, getting down into southern Missouri, downstate Illinois, and Indiana. So this is a widespread brand of some very cold air. Now, as we go into the afternoon, we're going to warm up, but it is a silver lining, right? We're not warming up that much. We are definitely seeing a little bit of some warming across the upper Midwest and at least above zero territory. So we're in the single digits above zero. But out here in the Dakotas, Nebraska, northwestern Kansas, we're going to remain in the single digits below zero, and our wind chill significantly lower than that, anywhere from around 15 to 25 degrees below zero all afternoon across the Great Plains, from the North Dakota all the way south to the Red River here between Oklahoma and Texas. Now let's look at the west. Pretty cold up here to start into Montana this morning, especially eastern and northeast Montana. Around 32 degrees below zero looks to be the coldest air temperature in Montana this morning. Yeah, wind chills. Look at that, 54 degrees below zero up there into northeastern and eastern Montana this morning. And as we go into the afternoon, we're going to still remain below zero with a lot of our air temperatures across Montana there, 5 to 10 degrees below zero, and our wind chills will remain 25 to 30 degrees below zero up here. So make sure, again, bundle up in multiple layers, and if you do venture outdoors, make your time short outdoors because it is very cold out there. That is for sure. Now, the eastern U.S., same deal up here to the north, especially areas that have the deeper snowpack like northern Maine. We started off a handful of degrees below zero, but our wind chills this morning were around 15 to 25 degrees below zero from Michigan over into Indiana there, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts. A lot of areas here below zero. Now, as we go into the afternoon, we're going to be warming our temperatures. Areas with deeper snowpack, upstate New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northwestern and northern Maine may remain a couple of degrees below zero with our air temperatures, and our wind chills largely will remain below zero up there as well, around 10 to 15 degrees below zero this afternoon. Now let's look here at our major winter storm that is making a lot of headlines in the weather community. We are seeing some heavy snow across portions of east central Kansas, west central Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma into the Tulsa region, seeing some heavier snow this morning, and into portions there of northwestern Arkansas, north of Fort Smith. Now, we are seeing a transition zone in the pinks and purples where we have sleet, freezing rain from Oklahoma City down to Lawton and Fort Sill over here into portions of Fort Smith, Arkansas, into the Little Rock region. That's where we have an icy mix, and then rain further south along the I-35 corridor in east central Texas. Now, as we go through the day today, here we go into the afternoon, we're going to start to see that snow shifting eastward, so downstate Missouri, far northern tier counties there or so into northern Arkansas could be seeing some heavy snow. Southern Illinois, Mount Vernon, Carbondale, SIU down there, definitely seeing some snow on the campus of SIU. And then over there into Paducah, Kentucky, can see some snow, as well as Clarksville and Jackson, Tennessee. We're watching an icy mix. Could be a rough travel go from around Fort Smith, Arkansas to Little Rock to Memphis as we go into this afternoon, with freezing rain and sleet here piling up there on the roadways. And then we have more rainfall further to the south across East Texas. And then going into this evening and overnight, we're going to see snow continue east into Kentucky, into middle and western Tennessee. So Nashville getting some snow here, Lexington, all the way up to Louisville, Evansville, even into Cincinnati. And notice here as we go into Wednesday morning, that just continues to shift further off to the east. A little bit of some dry air penetrating into the northern side of the system could actually bring in a little bit of less snow accumulation than originally thought across West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina, but there still will be snow showers out there, and some of them could be heavy at times as we go through your Wednesday. Heavier rains further south here, and we are very concerned in the middle about an ice storm in eastern North Carolina on Wednesday. That could be a long duration ice event as we go into the middle of the week. Here's the snowfall accumulation. This is additional of what we already seen, and we could be seeing upwards to 13 inches worth of snow here in Tulsa. So definitely watching out for a major winter storm in northeastern Oklahoma with double-digit totals there. Northern Arkansas could be seeing 6 to 12 inches of snow. Same thing in southeastern Kansas and southern Missouri, and then more of the 6 to 8 inch variety in southern Illinois down toward Carbondale, the SIU campus down there of Southern Illinois University, and into the Paducah, Kentucky region, around 6 to 8 inches worth of snow. We transition further east, Nashville looking at around 1 to 3 inches, 2 to 4 in Lexington down toward Bowling Green, and then over here into Pikeville, eastern Kentucky, around 2 to 5 inches of snow. Charleston, West Virginia, 2 to 5 inches. Roanoke, Virginia, we're looking at around 1 to 3. And then as you get closer to the mid-Atlantic coast here into eastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina, southern Maryland, southern Delaware, could be seeing a widespread area there of around 6 to 10 inches of snow as we finish this storm there on Thursday. Now let's look at the icing potential. Could be significant with hazardous road conditions with slippery travel and some isolated power outages as well, as the ice really accretes on the power lines. We could be seeing around a light glaze to a 0.2 of an inch of ice here from central and eastern Oklahoma. This includes the Oklahoma City, Norman area, back down toward Lawton and Fort Sill, eastward here into eastern Oklahoma, and then we have Fort Smith, Arkansas, Little Rock down to Pine Bluff there, and even a little bit of icing potentially at far north Texas, Louisiana, northern Mississippi, and Alabama can't be discounted either. And then looking over here into eastern Carolinas, especially eastern North Carolina, locally up to a 1/4 of an inch of ice, maybe even a 1/2 inch of ice in very isolated areas. That will not only cause problems on the roadways with slippery travel, but also accreting on those power lines. Scattered power outages will be of a concern, especially in eastern North Carolina through later this week. We do have a severe weather chance. It is a low chance, but it's still something worth mentioning. We have a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather for coastal Texas, including the Houston, Galveston area. Over into coastal Louisiana, so Lake Charles down to New Orleans, we're keeping an eye on the southern parishes there of Louisiana for some severe weather, mainly with damaging winds and some hail. A tornado cannot be ruled out here, and we're looking at storms really developing this afternoon, peak heating of the day. Notice we start getting them going around 5, 6 o'clock here, late afternoon, early evening, and a lot of heavy rain with these storms as well. A lot of moisture right off the Gulf, and they're going to continue to move over a lot of Louisiana into southern Mississippi, southern Alabama as we go in through portions of this evening. And then looking here at the southeast view, you notice these storms just continue to ride across the same area, so very heavy rainfall in addition to the severe weather threat as we even go into Wednesday. Very heavy rain for places like Jacksonville, Savannah, Georgia, down here toward Montgomery, Alabama, Tallahassee, Gainesville, Panama City, New Orleans. We're going to see some pretty heavy rainfall as we go through your Wednesday. So much so that we could be seeing some isolated flash flooding here, especially places like New Orleans, as we could be seeing 1 to 3 inches worth of rain in a short amount of time time within a 24-hour period. So that definitely could cause some isolated flash flooding, lessening amounts of rain the further east you go towards Georgia coast there near Savannah, Georgia, picking up around a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. Let's look at the global view of our weather pattern. This is very important because right now we're dealing with the polar vortex as it is in eastern Canada and is creating a lot of cold air in the central and eastern U.S. Let's look over here at Europe and Asia. Notice it is very, very warm, right? It's warmer in those areas. So it's colder here, warmer there. Watch as we reverse that weather pattern as we go into next week. We're going to see warmer air developing across North America and over into portions there of Europe, more so into portions of Asia. That's where we're going to be seeing colder air. So a complete reversal of our global weather pattern as we go into the last week of February, and that will promise some mild Pacific air from west to east across North America. Now, it's not going to be a quick transition. We're still going to see cold air for the next few weeks, or for the next few days this week. And then we're going to start to see some slow oozing of the mild Pacific air in the west this weekend, and then it'll take into the plains until probably the middle of next week to really start to warm up here. But we'll finally get the light at the end of the tunnel if you are not a cold weather fan to get some warmer air, and finally getting some drier weather, at least in the eastern U.S. for areas of Kentucky that have dealt with historic flash flooding, quite frankly. We're going to be drying those soils out a little bit. Very saturated, waterlogged soils there in Kentucky and surrounding states that really need to dry out. And it looks like here the European model is favoring dry weather to start the week there on Monday, February 24th. We go into Tuesday, could have a little rain snow mix near the Great Lakes as a clipper system track moves through. I am a little concerned about the middle of next week. If the European model at 0Z did pan out, we could have a little bit more heavy rain for areas that don't need it into Kentucky there. We'll keep an eye on that. And then looking here at the GFS model, has a little bit of snow across the Great Lakes there on Monday. A little difference, maybe a little stronger of a low pressure than the European model did show, but nonetheless some snow and rain chances there. Does not have that rain system as robust in the week, but it does bring a system into Kentucky with rain later next week with snow on the backside in the GFS model. So something worth noting. And the GFS is actually stronger in winding up a snowstorm for the Northeast and New England as we go into later next week as well. So you look at the European model, brings at least a couple to a few inches of snow for the Northeast and the Great Lakes region, even up into southeastern Canada for next week. And then looking here at the GFS model, wants to bring a heavier snowstorm into areas northwest of the I-95 corridor, northern Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and into northern Pennsylvania, and possibly the Appalachians of West Virginia and Maryland as we go into later next week. Let's look at early March's outlook. Very interesting here. We have another ridge of high pressure trying to build up towards Alaska, the Aleutian Islands, and up toward Yukon of Canada, and that will force colder air again down at least into the western half of the country. And you can see that here across the west, trending colder into the first week there of March. Probably not as cold as what we're seeing now. Okay, that's going to be hard to do with the polar vortex retreating, but it is going to give us some colder air out west and moderating temperatures across the east. So it's not going to be a blowtorch, but we're also going to see some cooler days in there as well, and an active weather pattern. A lot of the ensemble guidances, the European ensemble, the American ensemble guidance, and the Canadian ensemble guidance are really all hinting at an active pattern across the central and eastern U.S. returning in the first week of March, and that could bring a snow track a little further north because obviously the sun angle's higher in March, and also the the colder air is a little bit bottled up further to the north in March as well. So areas I haven't seen a lot of snow chances, like the plains, especially the northern plains like the Dakotas and Nebraska, upper Midwest, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, up here into Michigan, could see some snow chances, and then more robust snow chances for the Northeast and Ontario, Quebec, southeastern Canada as we go into early March. Thank you all for watching my detailed, informative weather forecast. If you did find it informative, press the like button down below. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media. Subscribe to the channel, folks. We're only 90 subscribers away from 127,000. You want to help me get there? Subscribe to the channel down below. Follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. We'll have another weather forecast for you this evening, updating you on the latest with the cold, the winter storm, and the March outlook here, as well as more information comes in. So thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Tuesday out there.